I mean, it's definitely something amazing that I love coming into every day, and I always have to take a couple minutes to kind of pause when I'm walking into the office and realize the beauty, I guess, that we have around us here in Calistoga. Calistoga is amazingly hot compared to the rest of the valley, and we actually have the biggest diurnal swing out of anywhere in Napa. So we have some of the hottest days and the coolest nights, with a little bit of that cool breeze coming in from the north. It cools it down nicely at night, but our days, a lot of the time in the summer, we get well over 100 degrees for multiple days in a row. So it's definitely warm up here. We definitely get some very interesting fruit quality. The cab that's coming out of here is stellar and absolutely amazing. Unfortunately, it means that we don't really have the opportunity to grow any kind of Pinot or Chard, so we may not be as diverse as some of the other places down valley, but a lot of Zinfandel and Cabernet grows exceptionally well up here. Going way back in time, my dad was originally from St. Paul, Minnesota, and he always had a passion for farming and a passion for agriculture, and he originally was a doctor in San Francisco. So moving out here I think it was about the late 60s that he arrived. It was kind of when wine was really starting to gain a lot of traction here in Napa Valley, and with his passion for agriculture, he started turning his focus up to Napa Valley in order to try to come across a property that he could acquire, and he could start to farm up in this area. Fell in love with Calistoga. I think partially because of the rustic quality that it had. It just has a lot of character compared to a lot of other places in Napa. So I ended up falling on a small piece just a little bit north of the town of Calistoga in 1978. So this is officially his 40th year of farming grapes in the town of Calistoga. Ended up selling that property about 2 years later, and with the money he got from that sale, purchasing our property in 1981. So we've been up here ever since. So from 1981 until about 2000, he was still a doctor in San Francisco and just selling off all the fruit at the time. Mondavi was purchasing quite a bit. The Napa Co-op at the time, now Hall, was purchasing quite a bit. So selling to kind of a little bit of everyone. 90s, he started to get a little bit more traction with his fruit. Barons and Hitchcock did a Kenefick Ranch Cabernet, and that really started to kind of put us on the map a little bit more. And we were selling some Merlot to Pride at the time before they decided to go estate. So he was starting to get this idea that he really wanted to do something with his own name on the label. So 2000, he retired from being a doctor, moved up here full time, and then we did our first vintage of Cabernet Sauvignon in 2002. And it was just about 300 or 400 cases at the time. And since then, we've expanded to be doing about 3,000 cases for the first 5 or 6 years, kind of adding another SKU every year to the point that we're out right now. So about 3,000 cases, still primarily growers, selling off about 90% of the fruit that we produce. To Camus, we're right across the street from what used to be Arajo, now Islay. Nicola is going to be coming out with a vineyard designate, so quite a few people up and down the valley. My sister and I like to joke around because we learned how to drive tractors before we knew how to drive cars.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah, so we were coming up and helping primarily on weekends when we were still living in the Bay Area, coming up here, helping drive the tractors, fix irrigation hoses, really do anything we could to help out around the property. And then from there, both of us kind of went our separate ways and went off to college and started other careers for a little bit before I came back home. Yes and no. I miss the city life and having a lot to do all the time. I think that living in San Francisco really made me realize that I'm much more of a country person instead of a city person. I was living in Denver, Colorado for about 8 years before San Francisco, and that I fell in love with out there because it's not a huge city. It's now booming a lot more, but at the time it was not a huge city. So I kind of got a little bit of a small town feel. And after 2 years of San Francisco, it really made me realize that I wanted to come back to the countryside, and especially Napa. So something hard to pass up. It's definitely something that always calls you back. And I think that when I was going away, I always knew that I was going to wind up back here eventually, but I just had this travel bug bit me early on. And so I really just wanted to kind of travel the world as much as I could before deciding to come back here and settle down. We have a group of next generation vintners here in the valley, and that group feels like a second family out here. And even beyond that, all the vintners that are out here, you may not see them for months on end, but when we do come together for events like Auction Napa Valley or Premiere, it's just like running into old friends or a big family reunion. So it's nice seeing everybody again.